Hey, what's up, people? I'm IGP, and welcome back to Subnautica Below Zero. Early access is upon us. 30th of January is what the Favreau says, but of course the dates in the past for Unknown Worlds have changed constantly. I'm hoping for some time around that because I really just want to play. And of course, instead of showing you guys a bunch of concept arts and text, we can actually show you in-game stuff, or you can even play it yourself. Until then, you'll have to deal with these. Now, of course, if you're still enjoying Subnautica Below Zero content, let me know. Anyway, I guess the most recent piece of information is the Titan Holefish, dude. Look at this. We got this in-game. Now, its size, obviously, cannot be truly represented here. It's hard to tell. It almost looks like a small fish swimming by the screen, but it's quite big. We've seen how big it can be. Now, we mostly know about the Titan Holefish. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I just thought it was interesting that we got to see it in-game. You guys really want to see it in-game? Watch this. This is actually the model that you can find right from the wiki. I think we've looked at this before. You can't really appreciate the size, but at least you can appreciate the eyes. Next up is the full render of our character, Robin Goodall. Now, we've seen a little bit of this in previous models. I think when the female character was being developed a long time ago, when the possibility existed of having an interchangeable character. Obviously, we know we're playing as Robin, and now we get to see her in full high-resolution beauty. Got her striking a nice pose. The quality of these almost seem like they're from the cinematic trailer for Subnautica. How Riley Robinson looked is how this is kind of looking. Again, I explained in a previous episode about my thoughts on having a character that actually has a voice. I feel like it's so important, especially in a character-driven, story-driven game where you have an investment of sorts. Not only do you have an investment in the character because she has a personality now, but she also has a blood relative that is in the same situation as her. Someone who is there but actually cannot intervene and whom you have to worry about. It adds a lot to it. So with that, also having a brand new character, the one you're looking at, it really adds to the whole experience. I honestly could care less whether it's a male or female that we play as or whether we can choose what we want to be. It's about the story and how that story unfolds. And to be able to experience it properly, we need the proper vessel. So moving on to videos, we have this one. This is Out of Bounds, Past Collapsed Rocks in Intro. And this is a video that was sent to show that you could potentially get out of bounds in the intro sequence of the game and to obviously fix it. This is bug testing footage, as you can see. So this obviously reveals a lot about the terrain in which you're going to be escaping in, and of course the storm. This is the electrical storm that caused a bunch of rocks to fall down on top of the base that you were trying to get into when Alan speaks to you. If you don't know much about that, I highly recommend watching the story video where I go into more detail about how the story is going to play out. But the real thing that we can take away from this video is that as this player, whoever this may be, is escaping out of bounds, they actually go across a much larger section, and you can see here it is a giant area of extended parts of the base. Now, on the wiki page, it is now separated by lower section and upper section. That is the Alien Research Site 0. The lower section of Alien Research Site 0 is accessed via an ice cave tunnel. That's what we already saw. At the beginning of the story, the interior is inaccessible as Alan restricts access to the inside. At a later point in the story, presumably after Alan has been given a physical form, the force field will be shut off, granting access. Not much is known about the contents of the base except for a single elevator leading up to the upper section of the base. Upper section. The upper section of Alien Research Site 0 is accessible only by the lower levels elevator. In-development footage shows that a large amount of the base is jutting out of the mountain, forming what appears to be a balcony. The exterior of the upper section is far larger than that of the lower section, and it is possible that it may be visible from the surface. According to developer notes, the upper section features an alien arc leading to an unknown location, as well as a terminal that ends the game. It can be assumed that the upper section of Alien Research Site 0 is the end game. Now, there doesn't seem to be any references linked here, so I'm not exactly sure where in the Favreau this is, but there's a lot to go through in the Favreau, and a lot of the times I am going off of what is in the wiki. Way more organized and easier to digest, so it's very much easier to relay it to you guys too. But that's interesting. So at the very beginning, we get a glimpse of what will eventually be the end of the game. At this point, the character jumps off, and I wish that they looked up so you can actually see underneath it or see what could potentially be in there. Now, here's some interesting information I want to share with you guys. I don't have footage of it or anything like that. In the distance, what seemed to be something of this sort. I can't confirm that it's this that I saw, but I remember that when I was exploring around and I got close to it, I started hearing that dreaded horn sound, the one that we used to hear way back in the day in the earlier versions of Subnautica. When I revisited the old versions, I heard it too, and it freaked me out. I had no idea what it was. I didn't know if it was supposed to be an animal noise or if it's supposed to be the early stages of the quarantine enforcement platform and what it may become and how it makes a horn sound as well. But you also do hear this same sound in a glow whale video, this one, in the distance. Listen. I honestly want it to remain ambiguous because it gives me the creeps, and I want it to stay that way. Now, this next video we're going to look at is called Strange Noises in Intro. It's a bug report, number 7481. Now, this video has been shared by pretty much every other YouTuber at this point, and I'm sure you've seen it. Now, there's a lot going on in this video because it shows the actual intro sequence and what we are to be expecting. Of course, there's going to be updates to it, and it's not going to be exactly as we see it now. I can also give you a little bit of detail from what I personally experienced doing this intro. So obviously, Riley Robinson is now waking up from an alarm, I think, on her PDA. Now, what I know about the intro and what happens prior to this, it's going to be very different from what Tom has informed me, which I'm not sure that I can share, and I won't, out of respect. But she opens the door to her room, and it leads into a much larger portion of the base. This base being called Research Base Zero. Now, she didn't explore around too much, but around that base are different areas, different pieces of information you can gather, and also Joe Jeffries' room, which obviously we know that Joe Jeffries is missing. Now, when she opens it out, you can see a very detailed view of everything that's going on at this base.
This is Vesper Station. Research Station, come in.
Hi, Sam.
Is Jeffries with you?
I haven't seen him.
We lost contact with this GPS tracker up at the research site.
Understood. I'll go take a look as soon as I'm ready.
Okay, so there we heard an exchange of actual voices. Now, keep in mind, these are just temporary voices. They're placeholder. But that is obviously Sam and Robin, sisters, Robin being the main character you're playing as, talking to each other over intercom. Now, in this section, I'm going frame by frame. We can see that the PDA opens up and there are different work documents that the character already has. Altera employee profile Sam Goodall, which is the sister in the Vesper, age 48, human resources manager. Now, this gives some background information to the character, which isn't really, at least from what I can tell, is pertinent to the story. We know they're sisters, so that dynamic is already established. If you want to read that, obviously you can now.
I'll go take a look as soon as I'm ready.
Roger that.
And Sam, the formal bit's cute, but we shared a room. Would it kill your career to act like we'd met before?
Damn it, Robin, you know I'm up for vice president. You know these conversations are monitored.
I don't care who knows it's cute. I've been here 2 weeks and we've hardly spoken.
Because you insisted on transferring straight to the planet. Find Jeffries.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Robin is currently entering the front of the base. And listen to this.
Access denied. Continued efforts to access the facility will be denied forcefully. Concede, Robin Goodall.
How do you know my name? I come in peace? Sam, the building just powered up. It spoke to me.
Do you need emergency assistance?
I'm fine. No sign of Jeffries, just his PDA on the ground.
Robin, I'm seeing an electrical storm on the sensors.
I think it's already here.
That cavern isn't stable. You should get back to base.
Sam! Damn it!
So from here, she travels through the canyon to go back to the base. Obviously, the electrical storm is here, as she said it was, and this happens. So it blocked her route. She has to find an alternative route, and she actually goes through one of the biomes that we saw in a concept art not too long ago. Lightning storm still happening in the sky. Everything is terrifying, of course. So in the alternate area for the base, it comes to what probably was once a waterfall, and she's in a pit now of ice and ladder perfectly in front of her. And just as you can imagine, it breaks and she falls in.
Your environment is no longer safe, and your PDA has rebooted in emergency mode. Be advised, remaining above ground will result in lethal exposure.
And the video ends with Robin utilizing her sea glide to then continue. From there, when I played, you go out into the open Arctic area where you have to try and survive. That's your goal now. Now, a fun fact, Susie Q sounds like it could potentially be a voice actress, right? Apparently, it's not. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The information I got from you guys, if you're watching by any chance, is that it is an automated voice. Like a much more advanced version of Microsoft Sam with some edits to it, clearly. I thought that was interesting because I was always wondering how things were constantly changing and who they were using for the voice for Susie Q in Subnautica. I was wondering, like, because the dialogue would change from time to time. I'm like, do these people have all that time to, like, go in and record and do takes of all this? I mean, in reality, it wouldn't be too hard, but the character also didn't turn around when the rocks fell in the first place. I believe they also fall behind her and block her path back to the base, the alien base. So the parts that they didn't really show is, one, what happens prior to this, which I promise you it's going to be incredibly interesting as long as they keep it in. Subject to change, as always, but the rest of the base was interesting because if you were to go into Joe Jeffrey's area, which I'm sure they'll show eventually, you can see it's very lived in. It seems like they've got comfortable in this base, and it's quite expansive for just 2 people physically living there. Outside of the base is beautiful too. The character does go straight to where they were supposed to go because, again, this is a bug video, but the rest of the area is very well put together. Now, I want to correct some information because I've heard a lot of people say this, and everyone who was telling me to cover this video in particular was saying that, oh, this got leaked. Oh, it's you know, it's a big secret video that got leaked. It wasn't actually a secret video by anyone, and nobody's really going to be in trouble necessarily for it. It's, you know, a bug report. It's a legitimate bug, and that stuff is going public on Favreau, so no, it wasn't necessarily leaked, because it isn't a proper display of the intro sequence. I know it could be considered a leak if they didn't want any of that shown, but they clearly don't care. I mean, the alien research site Zero wiki page has the images of it. We've been getting clips of this image for a long time now. Don't worry, nobody's getting in trouble, and it's all good. Now, a little bit more information to touch on about the main base, the research base Zero. Here's a nice picture of it from an aerial view in the Unity editor. See, we got 2 or 3 rooms that kind of resemble what the moon pool and 3 of the multi-purpose rooms. Quite an expansive base. Now, I don't remember what the 3rd room was. I believe it's just supposed to be Robin and Jeffries down on base, obviously Sam up at the Vesper, but I don't know. I can't recall. Now, when I played, there was a lot of information laying around the base. PDAs, posters, even information that you can't collect, but you can absolutely observe and gather information from, like pictures, Jeffrey's room for sure, but there was a lot of notes and stuff laying around. Now, from the talk between the devs, I believe a lot of that's going to be changed. I don't know how exactly, but there is a lot of information being given to the player, and it could potentially be considered overwhelming, so they might be changing that up. Anyway, moving on from the intro sequence, we've talked about that enough. There's a lot of speculation there, but something concrete that we do have is the Sea Emperor Leviathan. Now, I know you guys are saying, whoa, that's a different game, bro. But if you think about it, and spoilers ahead if you haven't played Subnautica, which I'm not sure why you would be watching this, but whatever. At the end of the game, you free the Sea Emperor babies, and they eventually grow into juveniles. And if you stay long enough, you'll see them in different biomes that they've grown, and they are this size. They're very massive creatures. They're not full size like the actual Emperor was, but they're still growing. Now, considering that they spread out and covered the entirety of the volcanic crater and eventually cured the bacterium and eradicated it completely, they do move about. And from what we've learned about the Sea Emperors is that they moved in herds. and the void would have been an excellent place for these creatures to roam. So, as it says here, a Sea Emperor Leviathan juvenile has been shown living in the Lily Pad Islands biome. Presumably, this is one of the Sea Emperors hatched by Riley Robinson in the crater that has since migrated to the Arctic. A nice image on the Favreau shows in detail a very good-looking Sea Emperor juvenile kind of clipping into the twisty bridges, I think is where they're at. Look at that little stalker there. You're not supposed to be there, dude. That's the wrong game, buddy. So this next video that we are going to be watching is another kind of bug report. It's called World Loading Breaks in Jelly Shroom Area Under Lily Pads. So we have quite a bit to look at here. The very first still image we see of the video is the biome listed as Start Zone, so the character starting in the starting zone, that there's going to be a Jelly Shroom area. I'm assuming very similar to the area or the Jelly Shroom Caves in Subnautica, and then underneath the lily pad, so we get to actually see the lily pad biome. Now, in this video is in connection with the Sea Emperor, that's why I'm talking about it now, is you get to see the Sea Emperor roaming around in the lily pad biome. It's interesting to see the right-hand side, too. You get to see the weather, default weather profile, blizzard. Also in debugging, when they transport somewhere else, it actually shows you physically the travel from one place to another. And there's the Sea Emperor swimming around, very large and creepy. And here are the little rocks that we saw in the concept art for the lily pad biome. They're a lot smaller than I thought, but it's still nonetheless cool. It's kind of like Below Zero's underwater islands. Now that thing you just saw was a sea truck, and we know the model to be a little bit different. We know the model to look like this now. I'm not sure what that one is. That's very strange. Down here is the Jelly Shroom area. I'm assuming these things kind of just go everywhere around the world. Now, I don't know if I said this already, but this video is incredibly unorganized. But this is the drop pod. The drop pod is a deployable vessel that will be present in the game. It will be deployed by the Vesper and functions similarly to LifePod 5 from the original Subnautica. Sometime after the destruction of the research base, Robin Goodall will make a request to her sister Sam that she send down a temporary shelter. The drop pod will then be deployed shortly afterwards, landing with the help of a parachute, similar to that of supply crates. The pod will function as a safe haven for the player until they are capable of constructing their own sea base. You get a fabricator and a storage locker inside of it. And it's a little tiny base that doesn't serve much more purpose than obviously having a starting base, kind of like the life pod. It's pretty much identical. Now, shortly after, when you explore a bit, I believe Sam will get a signal and relay it to you saying that there's a sanctuary nearby, or it's detected or something. This is Sanctuary Zero. This is where Alan is currently residing. Now, Sanctuary Zero is an alien base that will be located in the Twisty Bridges. The Twisty Bridges is like the main area. It's almost like the safe biome for Subnautica and the kelp forest mixed together. It's a very large biome, and it goes extremely deep. But it functions as a resting place for the core that houses Alan's mind and is where he broadcasts messages from. Its name suggests that it shares a similar purpose to that of the sanctuaries from Subnautica. However, it is currently unknown if any other precursors are stored here besides Alan. Sanctuary Zero is a location that Robin Goodall will visit while searching for her lost colleague, Joe Jeffries. Having been warned by a broadcast at Alien Research Site Zero, Robin shifts her focus on finding out more about the precursors. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more context to that. It does seem kind of strange that you abandoned finding a missing person. Anyway, her investigation will lead her towards the location of Sanctuary Zero. The core pedestal. Within Sanctuary Zero is a pedestal that holds Alan's core. Alan converses with Robin, telling her that she is not allowed to leave the sanctuary. Alan activates the sanctuary's force fields, and Robin must remove the core from its pedestal in order to escape. Consciousness Transfer Device. It is revealed that control over the facility is currently assigned to Alan, who functions as the sanctuary's administrator. Robin uncovers a machine within the facility that allows her to transfer Alan's consciousness from the core to Robin. With Robin acting as a new storage vessel for Alan's mind, she is able to turn off the force fields and leave the facility. Now, I'm going to reference Red versus Blue real quick because I feel like it's a bit similar to that. Alan isn't an artificial intelligence. Alan is obviously the mind of the precursor uploaded, so I wouldn't say it's artificial. It is absolutely organic. But much like O'Malley from Red vs. Blue and how that AI implanted itself on different members of each side, and including Tex, the mercenary, and controlled them, it was able to manipulate their bodies and their minds. So I'm not saying it's going that far, but I fear that it might. This wasn't how it was presented at first. At first, you were supposed to take the core and then send up a fake core to Sam to make her think that that Robin's doing her job and fulfilling Altera's wishes. But this time we're actually transferring the consciousness to Robin. So this is going to be an ever-present potential voice in Robin's head, which I feel like is, oh, it's so good. The potential for that, how far this can actually go. Hope I'm not looking too far into it. I do try to get my information correct before relaying it to you, but I accept the likely possibility that something in this video is incorrect, and I apologize for that. But from what I can gather, this is kind of insane. This is not what I originally knew it was supposed to be. Now here we got the Snow Stalker, cute little animation of this guy walking around. As you can see, there's a list of all kinds of animations for him. He's an adorable beast that is ever so frightening. Obviously going to have a very threatful presence underwater and above water. Look at this thing run. Look at its stride. Look at its teeth, dude. How far into your jugular do you think that thing will sink? Oh my God, its attack animations are beautiful. Man, Unknown Worlds, you guys got some talented people working on this. Good Lord. That is some of the best, early development creature animations I have seen yet. Jesus Christ. Look at its death animation. It looks so good. It's dying on land too, so we don't normally see that, right? In Subnautica, that didn't exist. You killed it, it just kind of turned over, closed its eyes, and look at the climbing into the water animation. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is actually kind of insane. Here's another video of the sea monkey in the engine in Autodesk Maya being animated and such. Beautiful. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Sea monkey is, you know what it reminds me of? If you guys played Halo, reminds me of the Prophets. I wonder if there's any inspiration from that. If you're watching, whoever made this, let me know if I'm right. I feel like I could potentially be right. But I'm not sure what kind of role the sea monkey's gonna play. It looks incredibly friendly. Obviously, it doesn't have gigantic teeth or anything super scary. But I'm wondering if it's more along the lines of the cuttlefish or the cute fish. If this could potentially be your pet. Next up, look at this. Title screen. Subnautica Below Zero. I love how the penguins look and how the rocks on the right side kind of look like a big penguin hovering over a little penguin. Could just be me, but it's beautiful. Please don't change it. Now, on Twitter, there was a new biome to be revealed, which is always good. I don't know exactly what it's called. It wasn't given any particular name, but it does have something that I noticed that gives me the chills. One, it doesn't look very cold. It probably is, but this looks very much deeper in the Arctic area. But if you look, those, what kind of looks like yellow blood oil cases, I believe is an egg. And there's something inside of that I can't exactly tell what it is, but it is terrifying nonetheless. It looks like it has many legs, many, many, many legs, but these are definitely eggs of sorts. And if they're not eggs, and those are just creatures that crawl inside to feed off the juices, well, it's still scary because those creatures exist. Here's another image of it, which includes a spiky trap thing. And this is what happens when you get caught inside the spiky trap thing. Anyway, that's about all I have for this video. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. I did want to actually do a live stream where we explore Favreau together and chat about everything in Below Zero. I want to follow up with the devs to make sure that's okay to do that. I'm not sure if they want that much attention at one time directed at every little detail that's on the Favreau, but if I get the pass on that, I'll be streaming that, and I've been streaming a lot lately. So if you want to check that out, twitch.tv/ENDGAME promo. Link will be down in the description. You can follow me there. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I hope I got something wrong so you can yell about it to me in the comments. But if you did enjoy the video, even just a little bit, hit that like button and subscribe. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.